Hello, crafty friends. My name is Jessica, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a card where I'm recreating one of my recent posts from the Says Stamp Sweet Wishes release. I had a dear follower ask if there was a video, and I needed some content ideas, so I went ahead and decided to recreate this card with a different color pattern. So let's go ahead and get started. There was a quick little brief overview of the supplies that we're going to use today, but first, look at this block. If you've been here a long time, you know my blocks have been really yucky over the years. I went ahead and took your advice and cleaned those blocks with some hand sanitizer, and it worked great. But I also learned about a couple other options that I'm looking forward to trying in the future. We're going to get started here with just going and gluing all of my little die cuts together. So we're going to start off with these Whirl butterflies. I love this line, this Whirl. They've got it in a couple different shapes and different animals, I guess you could say. They have dragonflies, birds, florals. Really, really love this look. However, these butterflies do not come with the little body part. So I am using a different die for the body part, and I just went ahead and I'm using it for both sizes, and I think it looks really, really great. And we're just going to go ahead and glue those on. I did cut these out of matte gold cardstock from Says Stamp. So we're going to use a block to go ahead and put a little bit of pressure on that. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do some ink blending. Now this is a Says Stamp Craft Tacky Matte, and I was sent this because I am a part of the Says Stamp team. And it's been really fun to play with. You know, my waffle flower grip mat is a workhorse in my craft room, but there is something a little fun about having a fresh, new, clear craft space or crafty tool to go ahead and get re-inked up. I do find that this one appears to be a little bit more tacky, and I don't know because I've had my waffle grip mat for so long if it's because it's new or if it's because there's just a little bit different um, material in the product that allows for that. So we're going to go ahead and blend these die cuts up. So the top one is out of Says Stamp 130-pound cardstock. That's my favorite for ink blending. It's a very thick cardstock. And then below is 110 cardstock. Now I am just very briefly coloring those with ink because I didn't want them to be white. Sometimes when you're gluing these die cuts on top of each other, when they're a little bit more fragile, like I feel like this one is, I like to color the die cuts sometimes because then it takes away that white. And then if you have a little bit of not proper lined up, then you don't have a stark white background. So I added a little bit of dark iris to the bottom of this one to give it just a little bit of an ombre. Our panel is a color blend. It's from my color blend series. So I'll be sure to link that up above. If you haven't participated in watching that, I highly encourage it. I go through all of the Says Stamp Positively Saturated trios and color blend those out as well as matching them with other colors in the line. So we're going to go ahead and glue these die cuts together. I like to glue or stack dies because it creates a chipboard effect and it just really makes a more hearty sentiment. You could definitely do this card with just that single top layer of the die, but if you're wanting to mail these cards or just give it just a little bit more of a, I don't want to say higher quality because I think that a single sentiment can still be high quality, just a little bit more of a put together look perhaps. I like to stack dies. It feels a little bit more luxury. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at. So I'm using that block to press those panels together, or the sentiment, and then we're going to go ahead and add the top. Again, I used two different kinds of paper for this. I used a thicker 110-pound for the bottoms, and then a very thick 130-pound Says Stamp cardstock, which is my favorite for ink blending. And just go ahead and lining it up, and then we're going to use that block again to create some pressure while we move on to the what I would call technique for this video. So I went ahead and this panel is previously been ink blended. It's been a while. It's been sitting in my craft room. I have a whole stack of them. So I did not ink blend this on site, and it is definitely something that has been sitting. So keep that in mind. I have not tested this technique with fresh ink blending, but this is something that I think would work as long as you give your panel a decent amount of time to dry. I originally just had these stencil down using the sticky mat to try to hold it. And this stencil is so delicate that I went ahead and added some pixie spray. I usually don't, but in this case I needed to. And then we're just going to take clear, clean water. I'm giving it a pretty heavy spritz and just making sure that I'm covering everything. And I wanted to keep it in here real time. Look at how the color changes. So this is a really blue, heavy purple in my opinion, but when we added water to it, it got really pink. And so I'm doing a little peek test to make sure that I've added in enough water. So what's fun about this is going to create a ghosting effect because these inks are water reactive. Anywhere that you place the water, they are going to lighten. So anything underneath that stencil is going to keep that background color. And then it's going to create this ghosting technique here. As you can see, I went ahead and heat set it. That sped up the drying process and really just intensified the color change and what occurs when you add water to these inks. So we went from a really blue purple, you can kind of see it over there in the thanks die cut, and now it's more of like a lightish pinky purple, which is really interesting to me. Now to create some more dimension, we're going to take this Strands background die from Says Stamp, the sparkly Strands. This is from this Sweet Wishes release. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this background to my sticky mat. Now, I forgot to test it. Because we put water on this panel, I need to make sure that it's properly dried so that we do not get embossing powder everywhere. So I'm just doing a little quick test over here on the side. I'm sorry I'm out of camera, but I'm just sprinkling that embossing powder on the panel to see if it sticks, and it did not. So I know that we're good to go. Now, please forgive the sticky mat. It is also well loved in my craft room, so it could use a little bit of TLC refreshing, but it's still really super sticky. So I continue to use it moving forward. Now I'm using a clear embossing and just making sure that I'm pressing down to get a really clear image. I did ink it up twice just to be sure. I wanted to make sure that we have the best inking because we have a lot going on and we've kind of warped this paper a little bit with the prior technique, not proper, the prior technique. And so I just want to make sure. But look at how this mat is still so sticky that the best way to take these off when they're sticky like that is to kind of bend them back and it pops the paper. So while it didn't look like it, it still is. So I'm really happy that it's holding on to that stick. So we went ahead and we're gonna knock off the excess. Go ahead and heat this panel off camera. And wow, look at that. So beautiful. You could use totally different colors. You could do a blue and a silver, purple and silver. I felt like this purple was a little bit more gold favorable, so I did that. We're going to go ahead and use this die to cut this panel out. This is the largest one from that die set. And then it's time to build the card. I have found that if you use one of these gummy erasers, you can take glue off of matte cardstock. So I just did that really quick. I had a little bit of excess that had squeaked out when I was putting the body on. And now I am adding my favorite background foam tape and just overall foam tape, Alta News 3D foam tape. This is my favorite. I've gone through so many of these, but I wanted to show you. I'm down to the last of this roll, and look at how big these are. I stock up during Black Friday. They are usually always on sale, 30% off, and I just make sure that I have some for the next coming year. I also love how Alta New packages everything. They make it so beautiful and so fun. So not only is the release paper fun, the pre-packaging is fun, and I actually have saved those because I'd like to use it to make a card moving forward. So I went ahead and put that panel on the background, and if you're new here, I love dimension. As I stated earlier, you do not have to add all the dimension that I do. This card would be totally fine with no dimension. You could have used tape runner to adhere that background panel and glue to add all of the extras, and that would just probably be the best way to mail this card, is to make it a little bit more flat. But I just love the richness and that dimension gives, and so I am an over dimensioner, and I admit that. Is it a problem? Maybe sometimes. But if I find that I have a card that is too thick, I'll just put it in a bubble mailer or I'll hand deliver. I do deliver a lot of my cards by hand. So I'm just using my ruler here to go ahead and line up that sentiment to ensure that I have it straight. I went off the panel as well because I know some of those butterfly wings are also going to fall off of the side of the card. So I wanted to kind of recreate that on that other side and kind of just take that S over the edge a little bit. It creates just a little bit of a fun balance moving forward. So because that larger butterfly is pretty far off the edge, you could cut it. I kind of show that later on here in the video where I kind of cover it to show you what it would look like without that projection of the wing. But you could also keep it and find maybe a 5x7 card that it would fit in. I didn't test it, but I'm assuming it would fit in a 5x7 card and just use that moving forward. If you grab some of that styrofoam kind of packaging material that protects things, you could kind of wrap it in that in advance to help keep that wing from getting bent. We'll go ahead and finish this card up using some of my favorite embellishments, just some gold round jewels. And that's going to be it for today. Be sure to stay till the end. I have a side-by-side comparison with the original card that I created over on my Instagram next to this beautiful purple one. This card can be created in all different colors, and just you can tailor everything just a little bit different to meet whatever those color choices are. So thank you for joining me today. Be sure to expand the description box for all of the supplies I used. Please note that they are affiliate links, and what that means is if you click on a link and shop with me, I do receive a small commission at no cost to you. This help keeps the craft room fresh and lets me know that you enjoyed my content today. Be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and just wanted to say thanks for being here.